Well, optimistic but conservative. These seem to be the watchwords that have emerged from the latest survey of Australian chief financial officers by American Express.
Yeah, Melanie Cochrane from American Express joins us now in the studio. Melanie, good morning to you. How is the mood of finance executives in Australia comparing to what we're seeing globally?
Yes, I think the Australian finance executives are feeling generally optimistic, I would say cautiously optimistic. So they do anticipate increasing economic expansion this year, perhaps at a slower rate and slightly less optimistic from last year. But they do also have high confidence in meeting their growth targets.
There's still an overly overweight bias towards cash preservation, not going on the front foot, not committing to capex,
yes,
which kind of at this moment in time, relative to what's going on in Europe and the US, would seem a wasted opportunity, would it not?
Well, and I think the survey showed that a big focus area, the cautious part, is that Australian CFOs are expecting to have exercise tighter controls on their spending, 41% compared to 35% globally. So they are exercising tighter controls and a balance between cash preservation and cash spending. But actually only 16% said that they anticipated having aggressive growth strategies.
It's interesting on the headcount front, a clear majority say there are increases on the cards, but it almost seems that every second day, if not week, we're hearing that there's PwC one day that's laying off, not for the first time, taking the axe to staff. How's that best understood? Because anecdotally, the story is of layoffs, not of building the business.
Yes, and during the survey, we found that the companies are focusing and expecting growth to come from domestic sales and expecting to see increasing costs in transportation, logistics and employees, particularly around skilled labour. So 50% said the motivation for hiring was to actually gain specialised skills. So around a third actually said they anticipate increasing their employee numbers in the coming year.
You mentioned that keyword costs as well, because some of the mining chiefs particularly have been coming out to say that the cost of doing business in Australia is just becoming too high, things become unviable. What is the read on what's kind of the finance side of things say about the cost of business in Australia?
Yeah, and the survey showed that the concerns around barriers or challenges to growth, financials came up as the highest, but in fact it was around foreign exchange concerns and interest rates. In terms of increasing costs, certainly they're expecting increasing costs in transportation and logistics and expecting to see energy and fuel prices. So certainly concern around those increasing costs.
Jack Nasser from BHP on the front foot yesterday talking about tax competitiveness relative to other economies. Has this emerged as an underlying concern for CFOs in this market? And is that something you tap and examine?
We didn't survey deep on tax issues, but certainly as we asked about financial versus governmental issues, financial concerns came out as a higher concern.
So you could argue that that scoops up some form of tax reform in the round. I mean, because financial concerns are pretty broad concept otherwise.
Yes, and it was around, the feedback was more around concerns of the financial factors with the exchange rates I mentioned, access to credit, and less so around actually governmental concerns. So we didn't deep dive into tax specifically.
Is there a sense, with our dollar having moved the way it has, down now below parity, that is one-way traffic now? Is it going to actually alter these numbers when you come back for the sixth survey?
Yes.
Because I guess for the last year it's probably been at these levels at least.
Yes, and well, certainly next year we want to continue the survey to see these changing trends. Anticipate that the volatility around exchange rates was something that was cited as a concern. So it would certainly see if there's less of a concern a year from now when we do our sixth survey.
Well, we look forward to seeing that one for what it is. Thank you so much for now, Melanie.
Thank you very much.
Amex Senior VP and General Manager.
Yeah, I'll take a quick break here on Sky News First Business.